this is a regular meeting of the Montgomery Selectboard and Water Commission, April 1st, 2024 at 6:35 p.m. First order of business is to review and make any changes to the agenda. I've got two additions pending Mark coming, but they are under Public Works. We're going to add annual financial plan for town highways and town road right-of-way occupancy request from Vermont Electric Cooperative. Any other additions or deletions to be made to the agenda? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to approving the minutes of March 18th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as written?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Great.
One second.
Suzanne, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. You have approved the minutes of March 18th. If there's no objection, what I'd like to do now is jump to what is item 5C in our agenda. This is a discussion about the renovation plans for this building. Just checking to see if Liz is able to. Hey, Mark. Just checking to see if Liz is still trying to join or not. She said she was.
We were discussing the plans.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything back. But anyway, so if there's no objection, I'd like to tackle this now because I know Dan's got somewhere to be at 7 and Doug has training going on in the other room. So we want to try to get these guys in and out as soon as we can. So the hope for tonight was to just kind of do a high-level review Sorry for trying to talk and text at the same time. I know that's not the best thing to do. Liz is trying to join. So hope tonight was to do kind of a high-level review of what the current designs look like, noting that like there's still architectural work, engineering work to do, and have the board have an opportunity to ask questions, just so that we're all kind of on the same page of where things currently are at, and we can all answer questions or ask questions kind of together. And that way we're not trying to play telephone between different people and different entities and stuff. Erin is on Zoom right now. She's under the weather, so if we have questions, we can ask her, but just know that she's here. And Liz is trying to join Zoom right now, so she should be on momentarily. But if folks want to come up to the table, apologies, Larry. This is looking at paper maps, so it's going to be hard to see this on Zoom. So if we start on the town office side of the building, what the current iteration of the plans show.
Can I quickly just frame it real
Yes.
quick? Yes. So I joined the library a year ago, and the idea, what I stepped into was that a couple of years ago, I think it was 2019, Marika approached the town and talked about potential expansion and what that could look like, and it's been a conversation back and forth for a while. In January of this year, we were made aware that the Department of Treasury has a very generous grant program available to libraries in Vermont for the purpose of internet access. They want a library in each county in Vermont, so that's 14 projects, and there are two potential pools of capital, which is the U.S. Treasury Capital Project, that's like a $16 million program, and another for $15 million at the end of the year. So they were estimating projects, they would accept applications for projects of $300,000 to $1.5 million, so proper big projects. What was done with Dugan Architects, who was the initial architect here, was a very simple expansion, doubling the size. So if this is the current library, double it, copy, paste, a very simple design. But the board and myself created a library expansion subcommittee. So the library trustees divided a subcommittee for the purpose of figuring out what does the library, how can it best serve the community in the next 10, 20, 30 years? So instead of meeting today's needs, what's the, like, how do we grow and better serve the community? So when this grant became an option for us, we decided to shoot for the moon and say, right, if we could like dream up a library, this is what it would look like. We conscripted with my wife's father, interestingly enough. His name is Keith Dewey. He is an architect based out of Southern Vermont with Dewey and Associates. He has done about 75 libraries and over 100 elementary schools over the last 35 years.
Oh, wow.
My hope initially was just to get his like eyes for ideas and stuff, and then once it became obvious that our board of trustees didn't have the institutional experience to project manage such a large project and deliver on objectives of the library, like whatever we identify, conversations began with him. I did recuse myself from all of those kind of decisions and financial conversations. But it became apparent he is extremely, extremely capable and competent. What we decided to do was contract with him for these preliminary designs in order to apply for the grant. The deadline was on March 12th. So what this is, again, is an idea on how the library can grow. This is the current library in here. Wow. This is the entryway. Less this librarian office, the only change that's suggested here is lock it off from this hallway and put a direct access from this door. Less that change. All of this is immaterial to the library, does not matter to us at all. This was actually in discussion with Liz, some suggestions she wanted, like potentially getting a couple different changes, getting a bathroom in here potentially, getting line of sight on the review room, and then Keith, being a very meticulous architect, just had some considerations he wanted to share with other people, entities within the public service building. Namely, the vault needs to have a concrete ceiling, so it would make sense to be somewhere that is able to get concrete and support that weight. The current architectural designs, if not the projected ones, there was a potential issue that he noted that I shared with Liz about egress from the building for fire code. There was a way that a door could be locked and there wouldn't be sufficient egress to code. So it was just like a suggestion on that. And then he definitely took the creative liberties on here and what could make sense for the town entrance. I shared this with Liz for her to consider. This is definitely a departure from what Dugan had designed, but it was just an opportunity for a highly qualified architect to do some like thinking. So again, some of these ideas came from Liz as well. And none of this is a commitment to anything. This was an opportunity for the town office to be able to see what an alternative setup here could look like.
This is the town office's proposal, and this is like what your architect sort of put together?
Yeah,
This is all of this, except they've added this.
Well, they've also added these offices here, which are different.
Yeah, so I do note that Liz has joined us. So Liz, and now Liz is gone.
So whose version?
Is this helpful?
I don't know. Hey, Aaron, can you hear us okay? Hey, Aaron, can you hear us okay?
For the most part, it's kind of jumbled and it's a little hard to follow, but
Okay.
I can pretty much tell. I've not seen the new mock-ups, so I don't know how different they are from ours, but I know that we're really pretty set on the way that we mocked them up to begin with.
Okay. So when folks are talking, just try to use your outside voices so the mics do pick it up, just so that Aaron can hear and we can ask questions, and hopefully Liz can join again. So I think as far as this body is concerned, we can certainly ask questions about what the library is looking to do, but this is very much in their wheelhouse in terms of anything happening essentially from this wall over. What the select board would be looking to review and approve would be essentially everything from this wall over.
Yeah.
And so if we start just by, and again, none of this is finalized. One of the things we'll talk about tonight is engaging with the architect in the next phase of this work. Right now, there's a couple different designs, but if we look at the plans that the town office had put together, which Aaron mentioned is kind of the last iteration that they had looked at and kind of wanted to go with, if we kind of move them this way, maybe that can, it's different scales, but that's kind of what we're looking at. So the idea here would be that the main entrance to the town office would be through the vestibule where Aaron's currently her desk is. So this little overhang here, this would get you into that ambulance bay, which would become the check-in area. There'd be a window, a wall, and a door, which would be secured. And then this would be the reception, town clerk's office with a research area in the back. Then there'd be IT back here, treasurer's office here, lister's office here. This looks like these walls are gonna be maintained. So this hallway here would access here in the IT area. The new vault would get plugged in here. So that's
The old ambulance office.
the old ambulance office. Okay,
That's what that
gotcha.
is.
Okay.
Because this is this hallway behind us,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Existing, this is the
Actually,
existing.
so that wall to the hallway to the conference room, we were talking about completely removing that wall and expanding,
This
making
wall.
the conference room bigger.
That
Yes,
wall
yes.
will come out right here.
Oh,
Between the
okay.
two
Oh,
doors.
so this is the existing.
Yeah.
The conference room will get bigger by
So
this
if
point.
we kind of go like that, so a little bit more. So this wall would disappear. This is the current door here. So you'd have a door out of the conference room to access.
That's not the current door.
No, this is the current door of the conference room.
Yeah, so you'd have a door.
That's to the bathroom,
To the
I think that
bathroom.
one
The
needs to
door-
be moved here.
The door that's currently there past the bathrooms would be gone. There would be a separate door to enter the fire bay a little bit further back, and then another door that will be locked that enters the office. So that
Right.
instead of the one door that's there past the bathrooms, now there will be two.
Okay.
Right.
So when people rent the conference room, they have access to the conference room and the two bathrooms only. And,
Right.
Are you?
and then have complete control from the office side of who enters the bathrooms through the front door of the office.
So
Gotcha.
one QR cure for that. This is our decontamination shower. We can put a lock on that so the general public doesn't access it. Other than that, I don't care if the bathrooms are open to the public.
And you're keeping the kitchen and storage in the conference room?
That stays in the conference room. That was built and paid for by the fire department. It's not really for the public, but we let the public use it. The conference room was a training area.
So then you'd have the current fire department office, mechanical. This is all fire.
That
This
stays the same.
this would be the secure door that essentially
Right. We'll have a code lock.
a code lock so that no one can get back into that area.
We would need, one thing, my concern is, I talked with Liz, we need a second means of entrance into the fire department. If that lock fails over there on the other side, we need a second way, like we come in now through the ambulance vestibule.
Yeah.
So this counter situation might change a little bit so that we can come shoot in, or she talked about in this wall where the roll-up door now is, when they build that wall, putting a entrance door here and the small vestibule here. Because this door can't open the way it does because there's a truck right there. There's no room to put a door there. So we need a second entrance point with a code in case point one
We were talking
fails.
about leaving that door that's there currently.
That's an existing.
Right,
Yeah.
leaving that doorway there, that is a fire, this is a firewall here, that is not, but that separates our apparatus bay from office space. So it's possible that we don't move the firewall if all of our secure paperwork gets in this side of the firewall and in the vault. And all the treasure stuff is over here in the separated firewall zone. Anything in here would not be protected by our firewall unless they built that firewall all the way up the attic and made this an actual firewall, which it's not currently.
Okay.
So there's one way to save a little bit of money, is not make that a firewall, and anything in here would be subject to a lesser burn time. I mean,
This
it's,
is-
that's up to the architect, but
This is an existing firewall or it will be?
that is an existing firewall. That one's already there, it goes all the way to the attic.
Because it went to the ambulance bay.
Because
Yeah.
all of your truck bays are on this side,
Yeah.
so there's a firewall here, and there's a firewall here where the library begins. And then I'm gonna get back to my training as soon as possible if anybody has any other questions, but this office right here was basically loaned to the library. I would like, since they are going to be expanding the library, I want that to go back to the town health office, what it was, because we have a new health officer and I think he would like to use it. And we also have our disaster emergency coordination stuff that needs a place to be homed, and that would be a good space for both of those.
Okay.
So the library will basically be from this wall over, not including this office.
And that's the first I'm hearing of it. Last time I
That was
looked at
not
this,
their
and
office, that's the town health office.
I'm just telling you, when I spoke with Liz and Aaron last,
Right.
that what we'd spoken about was bringing it in, so that's news to me.
Yeah,
I know, I
when we
just
had
saw
last
that, I
spoke.
thought that would go away when you did this, 'cause I was told this wall was gonna be the breaking point, but they were now thinking about still letting you keep that, and I am against that, because we need that space back. Because
So,
we've already given up all of this. And this. And this.
Or Doug, is it possible to maybe build in, like into the conference room area, like I don't know if it's worth it to look at our plans building in like a little office space somewhere if the library wants to keep that little side health office for the library director.
I
as
would,
something
I
we could
mean,
look at.
I think we're gonna wanna maximize the amount of room in the conference room.
Yeah.
I really, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't wanna take any room away from the conference room if possible, because
Right.
even if we blow it out to the hallways, it's still not that big.
Yeah. No, I don't see any reason why we just can't get that office back.
Okay.
I mean, the library-
It was the health officer office, and it was,
Yeah.
then it was Erin's temporary office, and then she kinda gave it up to move into the ambulance bay. And
Yeah,
then without really anybody's knowing, somehow it became the librarian's office, and that is our space, so I wasn't consulted on that. I'm okay with it happening right now, but if you're gonna be building a library expansion to that size and scope, I would say make room for your librarian over there.
yeah.
Because we do have a reason to have a health officer and a place for him to have his stuff.
Okay, so if his office was
And emergency
here
coordinator stuff.
and the entrance is, so we should figure out a way to make sure that they have sustained access.
Well, he would through
Here.
this entrance, and
Yeah.
also we have access through here.
Okay, to come out and back down over?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
That office doesn't have to be in our area. It just needs to be locked because it'll have public stuff in there. You know, there's
health
things.
records
yeah.
and stuff, we got it. Okay. So I know one question that we've tossed around a bunch of different ways that I'm hoping we can all talk about now that we're together is whether or not there's access from library side to town office side
Nope,
within the building. So,
Can it
okay.
be a conversation?
they have separate entrances,
You can go outside.
totally
and you
separate
can-
entrances.
Can we talk about, can,
I'll show what
They
we
don't,
last
there's
showed.
nothing that they need access to on our side. They would have a separate entrance. That door would turn into a wall. And they would have their own entrance completely to the library so they can operate how they want to outside of the
All right.
town office
Liz,
area.
what I'll do is I'll just walk through what we last spoke about, the design that we had last shown. Because when we last spoke, Liz, there was only one bathroom, and then that would require that we would have access. So that's the last design that you saw, and I think that's where there
Yeah.
was some friction, because I was advocating in the absence of knowing that the library would have enough bathrooms capacity for the occupancy by state code, we would require access to that. The update is that we went ahead and put a whole other bathroom since this was such a big friction point for you, right? So the new design does have 2 ADA bathrooms in the library, and as far as I can tell right now, and again, maybe the architect is more appropriate person to confirm, there is no need to have access. That being said, myself and the expansion committee doesn't see, like still feels like there is a, we don't know why we would block this off entirely. Yes, there's a brand new entrance over here, and it looks like with your guys' new design, this is getting discontinued as a public space.
well, I think this would be the access solely for the conference room. And the idea
Yes.
here is
Yeah.
that this would also be blocked off. Essentially, you could not get into this part of the building from here, so that if this was rented, we could essentially give someone a code to the door, come in, do the event, but not worry about. So Suzanne, you, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly everything you just said, Charlie, is the point, is that when the conference room is in use, people would get a door code to get into the conference room. They could use the conference room and the bathroom areas, but they wouldn't have access to anywhere that is secure, like the fire department. They wouldn't have access to our offices from another doorway or the library. So if they wanted to go to those places, they would need to enter through our new entrance, or they'd need to go to the library entrance.
So what if that door then to the library becomes a coded door? Because say the library wants to then rent the conference room out for an activity for kids.
Then
in the middle of
So it's a
winter,
cut.
are they then going outside, digging through snow and coming in the alternate entrance to get on the other side of this wall?
Yeah, so, can you please go? So if the conference room were to be rented out by, say, the library group or a library entity, the whole point is that them renting out the conference room, they would have to book the conference room just like everybody else through the town office. So they would come, book the room out, or they would call, email.
Yeah, that's not a
And then when
problem.
they use the room, they would enter through the front door to the conference room.
Yeah, I have no concern whatsoever about how it's rented out. It's more of a like immediacy of access. If you got like 12 kids in the middle of winter, you want them to get their jackets and
But
boots
why
on
would
to
the
go
kids
outside.
be using the conference room is my.
For any, like, no, just an option.
There's no reason at this point, if there's a kid space in the library, there's not really a reason for them to be utilizing the conference room.
So what I'll say is it's the library's prerogative to figure out what programming it has, right? So if we do get an event, say we have a musician, an artist, a speaker, a lizard reptile thing, any opportunity to do something indoors that the library space is
They shouldn't be doing it in the
conducive.
conference room area because it'll be still too close to the town office spaces, and that will be extremely loud. Just like the last time that they had a musical event in the conference room and the little kids were playing kazoos and we could hear it all day. That's kind of the point of, that space would no longer kind of be appropriate for.
I will speak for her. It is so loud, I can hear them in the entire fire
That
pit.
kind of thing would be more appropriate for the town hall.
Okay, so yeah, I guess that would be a different, like if you'd like the library to not do kids events, that would be a different discussion, I think.
Well, I think her point is that if we're making the town hall more of a year-round indoor community event space that's large enough to hold events,
The conference.
I think if we're making the Grange Hall, then I think the expectation would be that the conference room would then go back to essentially just a meeting space, not an event space.
That's
So
what is
you wouldn't
preferred.
have yoga, you wouldn't have,
Gotcha.
Correct.
senior meals would go to the
Like there wouldn't be
Grange.
Zumba classes, there wouldn't be yoga classes anymore, like it would purely be more like meeting space.
Gotcha.
Is what I'm getting to.
Sure.
I'm not saying, not to
Right.
have programming for kids, but it would have to be either done in the library, or if it is of a bigger, more zealous event, it should be like more town hall, like down at the Grange.
Right, that was the original plan with our $890,000 town hall, is to have a larger conference room for meeting purposes, not for entertainment
What,
purposes.
800, what are you talking about?
The original one that the town voted down, that's how the town office got moved into here. We said, look, we got space here, let's put the town office
Yeah, I
in there.
remember
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
I just,
But-
Doug, so one thing that we've talked about, I know that town office employees have had some concerns around access in terms of other parts of the building, but do you want to just talk briefly about what the fire department's concerns are around controlled access?
We want to control access into everything in here because we've had numerous times where that door gets left unlocked and people, kids, you name it. We have things in there that we can't have kids wandering around touching. Things that are dangerous. We have a lot of expensive equipment. We have things that are federally controlled. So we can't just have anybody touring the fire station at will. So that's gonna become code locked as soon as the next couple of weeks. I'm putting a code lock on that door because it's getting left open by who knows who. But people going back and forth, it's inadvertently getting left open by accident, and that's stopping now, and that's gonna stay. Strict access, it only to emergency personnel.
Which makes sense, yeah.
If we want to have an open house and have the public come in, we can, but we can't just have people free will using the fire station.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we just touch on the security standpoint for a minute? There's been so many times where I've been there alone in the evenings and people have forgotten to lock doors, like the front door or what have you. And I find people in the bathrooms and I find people wandering, and I mean, I've had the absolute crap scared out of me a few times. But in order to keep those bathrooms locked down, that's the whole part of having the conference room and the front door be locked, is so that we can control who's in the bathrooms. And because they'll come to the front door to ask to use them, and they won't be turned away. It's a public building, they can use the bathrooms if they want to, but we'll know who's in there and how long they've been in there.
Right.
Like, we've had people come in and spend hours sitting on the toilet using the Wi-Fi or doing God knows what there. People come in and spend a bunch of time taking sink showers and things like that, like,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't know how long they've been there because they've come through the front door and we have no visibility on those bathrooms. So a big part of having the only access be through the front door would be because we want to just give access to the front door to people who rented out the space, and then they can access the bathrooms, and if they otherwise need to, they can come to the front door and ask, and that will give us better control over who's back there.
And if someone is visiting the check-in office and they need to use the restroom, do they go outside and enter the new door? Would that be, or do they walk through all the offices to get to the back?
This is being suggested that a bathroom be put in right next to this
Gotcha.
vestibule. That
Okay.
would be allowed for them to use.
Okay.
Okay.
Because it's right next to the
Otherwise,
septic
everybody
tank.
will go through the front door.
The tank is right here, literally it'd be like a 4-foot pipe right into the tank.
Makes life
And
easier.
water is here, so it's like, psh, quick shot.
Yeah, if we are able to, I don't know, I couldn't hear Doug completely, I don't know if Doug answered part of that, but one of the things that I wanted to explore was putting in a small bathroom right on the inside of the town office side where that doorway would be, so there would potentially be a public bathroom when folks walk into the town office that they could easily zip in and use. So if that can't happen though, and somebody absolutely needed to use the back bathroom areas, then we could either let them into those areas through that front door, but yeah, it would certainly mitigate security risks, or just people kind of wandering, like Aaron said. If we end up if we're able to put a bathroom on the town office side of things.
So I got a question. So will this be a separate heating system and everything for the library now? Or will it be all combined?
That's a great question. I imagine engineers would be diving into that. Because right now, all of this, the current library is a part of it. All of this would be new, as shown by the mechanical room here. But I don't know what happens at the wall. That's quite a bit of engineering to be figured out there.
Yeah, a lot of square footage there.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Oh, it's
What
entirely
about-
new.
You've
It would be-
almost quadrupled with your new picture. I mean,
Yeah,
at least
well, this-
tripled the size of it.
Yeah, that's all exterior. And,
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of square footage there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
To heat.
that's why
I mean,
don't see that.
regardless of whether it's a lot of square footage or not, having two separate infrastructural systems in one municipal building seems
Redundant.
inefficient and redundant.
Well, they just replaced the furnace system in this building, and for them to turn around and replace it again, just to compensate for that much extra square footage, like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
We'll have to look at it.
We'd have to
that's
talk
what-
with Mercy's and see if it even could handle that.
But wasn't that part of the plan, was to get a whole new ventilation and air circulation system in
Air
this?
handling, yes, not heating. The air circulation is different. It's like a heat recovery ventilation system for health reasons.
Yeah,
They are gonna do that, but that's not covering heating.
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is all
Heating
currently radiant.
is all radiant up into the library. The library is hydronic baseboard.
Yeah.
Well, the library has radiant heat, it just hasn't worked since I think it was installed.
They broke the pipe and it's
Yeah.
under the slab and there's not much we can do about that.
Yeah,
Someone screwed up.
Okay.
yeah.
Is it helpful to like walk through just like the basics of the library for the select board who hasn't seen it, or?
I think for now, like, I think people can kind of see what you're doing, and I do just want to be cognizant of time and
Sure.
everything. Any other kind of like, because again, these are going to get refined as we walk through engineering, architectural designs, but any other just like conceptual questions folks have at this
I
point?
mean, one of my thoughts is, since you're really making the library a lot bigger, why couldn't you make like a room in there, like our conference room, for those activities?
So to give you the breakdown of what's going on here, right? So this is going to be the main entrance, and then
Yeah.
here's the circulation desk. These are the stacks for just most of the books.
Okay.
You're going to have a reading room for internet access. One of the big things is people who need to do health monitoring, like telehealth stuff. So we're going to have 3 private spaces for telehealth. We do have this large space here. This is going to be a collapsible wall, so people could meet like up to 18 people. So again, that does check off if there's like 6 kids. There would would be no reason for them to come over here if this is available.
Okay, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
So then now you come through this hole in the wall or this door here, and you get into the current library space. This is the kids area, and those are the 2 bathrooms. So these are all kids' books, large format. This is just all kids stuff. And then this is all computer work area, study counters,
Yeah.
privacy display computers, study work area there. So the big idea there is, again, health monitoring, internet access for work and education. Now if you go through here, this is just a sunroom area to a patio. This is something that we're really keen on, a tool library. It's non-traditional circulation items. If someone needed to borrow a canoe, a paddleboard, a bandsaw, just like things, obviously insurance, buttoning that all up.
What is that? I don't know if our insurance company is gonna like that.
Yeah, no. So, but the idea is, like, for example, how many people have a KitchenAid they don't use? Someone could donate a KitchenAid, and now the community has a KitchenAid, a juicer, just like expensive items that people use once a year. So this is the alternative circulation stuff. Emergency supplies, we could keep a stack of maybe 100 sandbags. So say if there's going to be a big storm coming through, the community could come and start grabbing bags, fill up dirt from their backyard. So this non-traditional area is something we're super excited about, just because it'll give people access to things that they might not have, sort of like communal good stuff. That's why, with regards to finding a
So
new
you might
librarian
need-
space,
You might need to cut this in size and put that over here.
that's where my head goes, because this is all very tight as is. There's nothing really
Yeah.
spacious about this. We
Yeah.
raised the ceiling
Yeah.
for here just to make it
But as
feel.
far as like importance of use, if she needs an office, I mean, that's
Yeah.
the place you're gonna have.
Yeah,
We have to cut that tool library down.
I guess my biggest, well, not my biggest, but something that I'm having a hard time with is, this is a public building. Like, ultimately, this is not the library building or the fire department, like, this is a community-owned building, right? Our taxpayers pay for it. So access to me feels so important. And like, I feel like for those people who are elderly or in a wheelchair or have small children, because face it, like, people with small kids are coming to this building for services beyond just making a lot of noise and bothering people.
Changing
So-
table was a big one for the bathroom there.
Yeah, totally. So I just feel like there should be some way interiorly, like, I don't know if you want to put like a covered walkway or that's like an enclosed walkway or something, so that people can get from one end of this building to the other for services that they might need in one visit.
If you guys wanna pay for a vestibule from that door to this door and then still have a coded lock there to get in, hey, that's.
Well, I think the
Outdoor
Can that
challenge,
just stay
space.
coded then?
Yeah, but
Can we
the-
just put a coded lock on that?
but I think the challenge here is that if this is all designed the way it's designed, if they do get in here, there's no access to the town
Right.
office. They still have to come in the main door.
It would have to be
Because over here would just
controlled.
get you into a controlled back. So I get what you're saying, but I guess my question would be, even if they got into here to get into the town office, they'd still have to get in here.
I mean, this space doesn't really feel like a very public space anymore, so, but like,
But I get what you're
to
saying
get
as
from
far
here
as-
to here, like, you know,
The idea that Keith drew up here unprompted, like just what he figured, because he's been in this reception before, was this would still be the entrance, and this instead would just be a private exit for the office. So everyone who's working the office could come out here. There would be the check-in, and then these are how he sort of dreamed up the spaces. And this is something that Liz and Aaron looked at. It sounded like it didn't make a lot of sense because still any traffic coming through here, the opportunity for distraction, there were a bunch of reasons that they didn't love that. But if improvements were made and there was acoustic dampening efforts, that was the idea that Keith had here. For keeping this as the main entrance and then using this as an egress that, say, town office folk could come and go as they please without having to confront the masses.
Okay. Well, I mean,
That's not gonna stop me from finding random people in the bathrooms after hours and doing God knows what in there with us having zero visibility to what they're doing. Because nobody in the library is gonna be keeping track of what they're doing in there.
actually, this proposal doesn't have access to the bathrooms.
wouldn't it come up through?
Well, you would close, this is closed, it's a closed door, so it would just be this, would be the only public.
Yeah, but there'd still be
non-view.
doors. I mean,
Well,
right
you
now.
could put a locked door though.
Yeah, I think
Put
the
a
challenge though
coded
is that
door.
we've got, like, I think one of the things Doug brought up is that we already have locked doors that somehow end up unlocked.
But if you have like an automatic coded door, which
Yeah,
is what
so
new,
I
prop those
new
open.
doors.
yeah.
Well, okay, so again, in the interest of time, I don't want to spend, we have other stuff to talk about tonight. As far as like this part goes, I think like I would leave it to Aaron and Liz to kind of finalize what they want to include from what and come back to us with. But I think as far as tonight, I think we've kind of seen some of the concepts. We've seen some of the potential friction points that might need some more work. Anybody else have any like high level conceptual stuff that they want to question, or questions about stuff they've seen, or Liz or Aaron, any other things that you want to point out?
Liz and Aaron, can I leave these drawings for you guys to also take a look at so you have them on hand?
Are you listening?
Maybe.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll roll up and stick them in the town office for you.
And keep them confidential to like the town office members and select.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, this is just,
Put
if
'em
we
in
get
the
the grant,
vault.
we do it, and if not, then it's just a dream, right? Like, and we have to source quite a bit more funding to realize anything on that side of the wall.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Very nice drawings.
Well, let's hope you get the funding.
Yeah.
And then all the parking is sufficient for the occupancy for both sides. There's also solar panels.
So this lot expansion is only once the town septic is connected and this is obsolete.
That would be a timing thing to work out with
Yeah.
the town, the engineers,
Yeah.
and and the waste.
I like the idea of having more parking because
Yeah.
this lot is
Not big enough as it is.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, it's just the layout. If it was squared off more, then you could have rows of parking, but the way it is, it's gonna.
Yeah, there's I think it's this one shows. Yep, that's a bunch of them.
Sorry about that. Ouch. Sorry about your
So I
ears.
think this is what's needed for a library occupancy, and I think this is what's needed for the public services building in terms of occupancy. So this is how many parking spots would be needed for a building of this size.
Okay. Cool.
Per code.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll wrap these up and we'll stick them in the office so they can take a look at them. And
Appreciate you guys considering this.
yeah,
Those spots, these spots don't work though.
Yeah,
We use over here. That's where all the snow falls off the building. Yeah. Glad we don't park there.
pretty bad with parking. Yeah, and if you have any questions on the
Okay.
email, yeah.
Sounds good. I'll get you back.
Thanks, Liz. Thanks, Aaron.
you want to just, are you going to leave those too?
Thank you.
Do you want?
I think this is fine then. Yeah. Do me a favor, just pop them on the deck in there. This is the key to
The
the
deck, like on the counter?
on the counter. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
Charlie.
Thank
You're
you.
back.
So part of this discussion, we also want to
Can
talk
I-
about Liz's email regarding next steps with the architect. So Liz, do you want to take the floor? If you have other questions or comments on that, what we just talked about, by all means, jump into that too. But
I just was curious if I couldn't really hear some of the last few questions that you guys had or discussion on the as the doorway accessibility and that side of things, and all I heard was just the last minute comment about the last question you had for Aaron and I, yeah, I guess we'll chat more when we can maybe look at it in person.
yeah. I mean, everything is still very much draft, right? And so, again, the hope tonight was just to kind of give a first chance for everybody together to talk about it and look at it. So I expect we'll be back here doing this again, soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna be meeting with the architect and the construction manager on Wednesday to go over more of the building plans and the actual proposed plans for our side of it. So there are gonna be some changes to those, the little sort of proposed floor plans that you guys were looking at tonight. Some of that stuff will be changing just as things have changed and developed, and as we're kind of reassessing what we're looking at. So there will be more iterations to come, but yeah, I just wanted to echo Aaron's concerns about just kind of the security side of the building and just having the spaces be more clearly delineated and defined, just so we don't run into the instances that we have in the past where random people have just kind of shown up and been in the building at random hours and scared the crap out of any one of us being in there with just instances that have come up lately with people. But yeah.
Yeah, no, understood.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I completely understand and respect your concerns around privacy and like not wanting to be spooked or have people, you know, hanging out in here loitering. Like that's totally reasonable, and I don't argue that point whatsoever. I would note that I hope that when you talk to your architect, maybe you bring the library's plans with you and have an open mind to some of the ideas that were on their plans, because they're not all disqualifiable. And I think it's worth considering, and your architect might think that some of those ideas are reasonable as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to, you know, sit down with Daniel and Keith and, you know, look at some of their suggestions. But going forward, you know, Aaron and I are gonna sit down with our architect and look at everything. But I do think ultimately, you know, what we're gonna be looking at is having, the entryways, having the entryway areas be, through the ambulance side of things, just based on kind of the layout that we're looking at for where the vault is gonna fit. But obviously we need to kind of sit down and go over that with our construction manager and the architect and figure out what's gonna work best, what's feasible, and what can fit. But all that to say, I mean, we're gonna have to look at our needs and how that's gonna fit on that side of it. Yeah, we're gonna have to sit down and kind of look at everything, but I'm not opposed to some of the suggestions that Keith has made on the plans, so far, but, it's gonna have to kind of really look at the scope of like what our project needs going into it. Yeah.
Okay, do you want to pivot to the architectural, the next steps with the architect? Liz sent us an email regarding budget approval for that next scope of work. Liz, do you want to quickly just walk through what budget approval you're asking for, and then we can move on it?
Yeah, let me just pull up that email. So essentially what you guys are looking at would be approving the appropriation of some of the ARPA funding for the architectural work that needs to get started. So we'd be looking at, basically Michael outlined some estimates for his professional services as the architect. And so his estimate for preliminary and progress work to establish total project scope is at 6,000, give or take. And the final architectural drawings and specifications, collating work with engineers and the project manager, etc., would be roughly 7,000, give or take. And like we discussed before, he said these fees are estimates just to get a sense of establishing project costs. So these are not like absolute. These are his estimates for like the preliminary and progress for the scope. I looked into construction permit costs. Construction permits are $8 per 1,000 of total project valuation. So if a project, for example, was $500,000, if you multiply that by the $8 rate, the construction permit would be around $4,000. That'll be, you know, coming down the pipeline as well. Like part of the process will be, we will need to apply for a construction permit at some point coming up soon. So just wanted you guys to bear in mind that there'd be that permit coming through depending on what the total cost of the project would be. That construction permit would be a couple $1,000s. So what I'm proposing right now is that you guys take a chunk of money from the ARPA and allocate that towards these preliminary costs. right now, so that way we can move forward with the architect and what he needs to do with like civil and structural engineers and stuff to get to the point where they have more finalized plans, legitimate cost estimates that David will be coming up with on his side of costing out what this project is gonna look like. So you guys could either take all three amounts and allocate just a chunk of ARPA money towards these costs right now just to get the ball rolling, and either, you know, say take 18 to 20K from ARPA to put towards that, or if you wanted to just start with the architectural piece and just move forward with Michael's estimates of the 6K, give or take, and the 7K, you could do that as well. I mean, it's up to the board to decide, you know, what increment you want to pursue, but these are costs that are going to be coming down the pipeline. So just wanted to throw out that the construction permit will definitely be something we have to apply for. I will be looking at with them whether we need to apply for any additional like wastewater permit since we would be adding bathrooms to this building. So that'll be something to just possibly look into. But at the very least, at the moment, you guys need to look at probably allocating somewhere in the ballpark of either like 15K from ARPA or maybe 18 to 20, just something in a range that we can get going on the project and get everybody started, so that way they can hone in the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I think getting the architectural stuff going makes a lot of sense. I understand the construction permits and all that kind of stuff that we'll have to get going. I do think there'll be a point though where we'll need to, once we have the designs and everything and the cost tables, we're gonna have to figure out overall costs of everything and then approve the plans, figure out what we've got in hand versus coming in from grants versus other sources of funding, right? So at this point, I think, we're gonna pay for the permits, but I think there's some steps between design and permits that we gotta figure out too, right? Because, before we get the permits, we have to figure out what exactly are we building and how we're gonna pay for it. But I think the initial costs for Michael's, the architectural work, I think that's certainly something that we could look to approve and move forward on. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So Liz, if we were to say, approve, say $14,000 for architectural services from Michael Dugan, to move that work forward, would that be sufficient now to move us to where we need to be?
Yeah, moving Michael's piece forward, that piece alone, we know it's gonna have to happen. It's just not knowing, the full scope. But I think approving Michael's piece will get us going in the right direction. And then once we have more finalized numbers, that'll make the approval of the construction permit piece of things a lot easier
Yeah, a lot
at
quicker.
that point.
Okay.
And we can always come back to the table for that.
Okay. Well, then I guess we entertain a motion to allocate up to $14,000 for architectural services from Michael Dugan to support the town office project.
I'll make that motion.
Great, so we have a motion from Suzanne. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second from Leanne. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor of allocating up to $14,000 from the ARPA reserve to support architectural services for the town office renovations, please signify by saying aye, raising your hand. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? All right, great. Well, Liz, we formally have moved that, and so feel free to let him know that we're good to get rolling on that, and then we can check back in as we progress.
Yep. I'll reach out and let them know that it's been approved and pull the trigger on that. Like I said, we'll be meeting on Wednesday with them. So as we get more details on Wednesday when I meet with them, I'll give an update to the whole board after that meeting occurs on Wednesday.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Liz.
Thank you.
Bye, Bruin.
My apologies for the child noise in the background.
No, it's okay. All right, thanks. So with that, we're gonna switch back to Public Works. I do just want to take one moment because it is already 7:25. Larry, do you have anything for visitors tonight specifically?
I thrown the right button. Yes. Real quick, I actually support the idea of the security for all three departments. I think Aaron and Liz are on the right tracks on that. I think considering what's happened as of late in the last few years, I think security has become more and more required. And if you recall, not too long ago, you had someone telling you how much they hated the select board and taking pictures of a weapon pointed at you on Facebook and such. So you have to keep that in mind when you make those decisions. The other thing is, where did you point to that the vault was going?
I'm sorry, what was that? Did the what?
The vault.
Where's the vault gonna go?
Where's the vault going? So, the current iteration of the town office's plans have the vault in what is essentially now the ambulance office, but expanding outside of that perimeter, but general location would be the ambulance office.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Larry. All right, so we're gonna jump back to Public Works. First up is just any updates, if you got any, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, things have dried out, so they're getting out, and grading the roads and trying to get them smoothed out.
Dave's doing a great job.
Yeah, he is.
He's been charging
Yeah.
it,
Yeah,
at least on my hills.
yeah,
Good.
yeah, he's doing a good job, and, we're trying to get ahead of it before the next snowstorm.
Yeah.
So, things are finally drying out, so we can grade the
Yeah.
areas and trying to fill the potholes. And hopefully up in the center here, they're gonna, working on Reagan and 58 tomorrow, I think. And they got the Gibu done today and some Amadon, I think.
Good.
Yeah, so they're working on it,
Great.
yeah,
Good.
yeah.
And we have extended the hiring offer to
To
Matt
Matt Kirkpatrick, he accepted, so I think he starts Thursday.
Thursday.
This week.
Great.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's exciting to have him,
Yeah.
have him on board and have the full contingent back in.
considering I was plowing the weekend of the last storm.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you for doing that.
yes.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, if there's no other updates,
No, that's about it.
okay, great.
I mean, truck one is down at Legion's right now. They finally got that part that we've been waiting for. So we won't have to use so much antifreeze. So that truck is down there. I'm not sure what it's gonna cost. I mean, we didn't get an estimate, but, there was some other things wrong with the truck, so they're gonna fix everything while it's there. So,
Okay.
yeah, so that's getting done right now. We brought that down Friday.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll have that back Wednesday. So finally, they got the part, because we've been going through a lot of antifreeze
Yeah.
to keep it going, so.
Good.
Um,
We
That's,
get that
that's
fixed.
good news. Yeah,
Good.
so that's getting repaired.
So we do have an item on here. It's kind of a placeholder, just future strategic planning. There's nothing we have to get into tonight, but just in the context of what we talked about before around some of the broader kind of
Yeah.
horizon work, I did want to just kind of keep something on here so that as we get through hopefully the last snowstorm of the season
Yeah.
and finish out mud season, we can kind of circle back once
Yeah.
things was crazy. So that's just a placeholder for that conversation as we keep digging into that.
Yeah,
I just wanted to kind of keep that on the radar as something we'll be circling back to, so that we can kind of get those plans rolling and acted upon.
yeah. I mean, we had plans for the summer, but it's
Yep.
just a matter of getting them down on paper.
Yep. So again, it wasn't something we needed
Yeah.
to dig into tonight, but more just a placeholder so folks know that we haven't forgotten about that.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to get the team staffed back up, get through this next storm,
Yes.
get mud season behind us.
Yeah.
So two items that we had added, if they're ripe for discussion tonight, is this, do we need to still have, this hasn't been filled out yet, so this probably isn't ready to go tonight?
It isn't ready to go. I think, I'm not sure if it's the right numbers.
Okay, well, if you want to
I'll
take
get
it
it ready for
and
the
double
next
check
meeting.
it. Okay,
Yeah, because I'm not sure if those numbers are right, because you have to take numbers off your budget that we just approved.
okay. Well, we'll carry that over
Yeah,
to the next
sure.
meeting.
I get that done to the next.
And then we had, I don't know if you've seen this or not, but town road right-of-way occupancy request.
Yeah, I think that's fine. We went and looked at it.
This is good, you guys looked at it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then
Usually
I,
Vermont Electric's pretty good about digging across the road, doing that, so.
okay. So then I guess, a motion would be in order to approve the town road right-of-way occupancy request from Vermont Electric.
That was for Reagan Road, right? Yeah. I'm pretty sure. The map's on the back.
Yes, Reagan Road.
Yes, Reagan Road. Yes, it was. Reagan.
Underground conduits and cables in the right-of-way of Reagan Road.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to approve that.
Okay, got a motion from
Request
Mark
from
to
the
approve the
electric.
occupancy request. Is there a second?
I'll
For
second
Reagan
it.
Road.
Great. You have a second from Leanne. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor of approving the occupancy request from Vermont Electric, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? All right, we'll get that signed tonight and get that
Okay.
back to them.
I'll get this for the next meeting. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Mark. We've done visitors. Moving on to old business. So municipal wastewater system, there's just 3 updates here so folks know how things are progressing. One is that we do have the final deed in hand today for the 242 disposal field property, so that is secured and in hand. We also got some really great news from DEC that it looks like, and we have a meeting Thursday, but it looks like there is a very good potential that with some tweaks to how DEC applies rules related to redundancy on systems like this, we may not need 2 disposal fields for the center.
Wow.
Folks remember the
Yeah.
South Meadow up by the cemetery, we had
Yeah.
reserved as the secondary disposal field to get us to the 40 or 50,000 gallon a day capacity. The state is looking to change the rules around redundancy, which would mean that the capacity at the 242 site would meet all our current and future growth needs. So that would mean that the South Meadow Cemetery would remain open for future use by the cemetery or whatever else we want to do in the future. It would also lead to some pretty significant engineering cost reductions because we wouldn't need to develop that site or put in the infrastructure to get effluent from
Yeah.
A to B.
Yeah.
So we have a meeting Thursday with the state and the engineering team to try to get more clarity on that, but signs are looking really good that that might be where we end up, which is awesome.
So the school's not gonna be on the new wastewater system?
No, I think what we basically decided was that the school being as new as it is with the current wastewater system it has, to add the school to the system would essentially swing the capacity requirements to a point that was so high
That's what I was
that we'd
wondering.
have to over-engineer it. And so it was one of those value propositions of if you add the school, but you add, say, 20% to the cost of the system.
Okay,
So given that the school was already kind of a unit contained with a new system servicing just that one use,
yeah.
that was the decision to not hook that up.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that just was news.
Yep.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
that makes sense,
yep.
yeah.
And then lastly, right now we are working through the easement templates for the landowners, which basically would be the temporary construction easement and the permanent maintenance operations easement for
Yeah.
the system. So we're hoping to get those done in the next, month so that we can get those circulated to landowners for review and questions. So that's moving forward with the legal team, and then tomorrow in this room is the second of the office hours that Oil Tanner's doing.
How'd the first one go?
First one went well. They had, I want to say they had a dozen people reach out.
Oh, okay,
We did notice there was one issue. For some reason, the link on the website is not a live link. Like when you click join meeting, it won't actually bring you to the meeting.
Yeah,
oh,
Rob tried to get in on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I'm trying to figure out right now for tomorrow how to make that different. It's weird because the other links on the PDF work. Like if you click on the town website one or the email address one, it's a live link. But for some reason, the Microsoft Teams link is not live. I had Zach looking into it. I mean, when we post things to the website for the select board meetings, the Zoom links are always live. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's a Teams issue. So we're trying to figure that out for tomorrow so that folks can join remotely.
okay,
If the link isn't live, they can still join. It just means opening up Teams and inserting the meeting ID and the password, which it's not like impossible to do, but it's not
Yeah,
easy. And so we want to make it as easy as possible for folks to join the meeting.
okay,
So that's the update on the wastewater stuff.
okay.
This is, we finally have back the town hall committee's charter for approval this evening. So,
They're never gonna lose Grange Hall.
yeah. So again, the purpose statement, I don't think much has changed there from what we reviewed.
No, I don't think so.
Responsibilities, again, most of this, some of the language has been tweaked a little bit. But again, making the building use policy, handling scheduling, acting as a liaison. This outlines that they have the ability to minor repairs of exterior and interior work. However, anything that would be contracted out would use the existing town policy for contracted services, and we would have the authority on expenditures outside of the annual budget. So any kind of capital projects, things like that, they would come to us. Any kind of regular maintenance, they would be responsible for following that policy. They would maintain the calendar, which the town office is all for, so they would go for all the booking, reservations would be done through this committee. They would look at applying for grants, fundraising activities.
So they'll be responsible for like checking the building after the
Yep.
events happen and,
Yep, responsible
Sure.
for cleaning.
okay.
I mean, we still use, we still contract
So-
out the cleaning, but they'd be responsible for managing that.
So we're gonna be setting up a separate reserve fund, or not reserve fund, or
We do have,
were we talking about that?
didn't we do that at town meeting? Or no? I can't remember what we talked about or what we didn't talk about, but yes.
I know we were talking about it at budget time.
Yeah, I think we did set
I
up
mean-
we did set up a separate reserve fund, I believe. Did we not vote at that on town meeting? I can't remember.
I think we voted at that at one of our select board meetings, didn't we?
I thought it was in one of these
Was
meetings.
it one of these meetings?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, I know we set one up, I just don't
mean-
remember if we
Yeah.
formally voted on it as a
Yeah, I don't think we did it
Yeah.
as a town.
No,
Okay.
it wasn't as, no.
I'd have to check with Aaron then because.
I don't think the town hall committee came up at that meeting.
No,
I don't think so.
okay, I'll double check, I know we
I
can
mean,
create
I
a,
know we're trying to structure that, we can do that,
yeah,
yeah.
but so now anything related to that will run through that budget, and so they'll bring forward a budget every year with anything for approval, and anything outside of that, we
Yeah.
need to approve.
Yeah. Yeah, I just was wondering how, yeah.
Yep, and then organization, 7 members, staggered terms, chairman, vice chairman, secretary. Aaron will still serve as treasurer, and that is it. My only,
So
yep,
we appoint these people like we do for all
Yep.
the appointments?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Did we do that in the appointments yet?
yeah.
Oh, we did, oh, that's right, we did.
Yeah, we've made
Okay.
all the appointments. We didn't do it during
Okay.
the appointments last meeting because we had already done it at the prior meeting when we kind of staffed the committee.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Yeah,
The only edit I might make to this is under section 2, item A, creating and updating a building use policy, comma, handling all scheduling for the use of the building by maintaining, I might just add creating and updating a building use policy and associated fee structure.
yeah,
I know that they are working on that. I think they've finalized it. I'm gonna ask them to just shoot us a copy so that we can take a look at it.
well, we still have to approve that anyways, the fee structure.
Yeah,
They don't approve that. I mean,
so,
they present it to us and then we approve the,
yeah,
fee
so if we add creating and
I mean-
updating a building use policy, associated fee structure for approval by the board.
Yeah.
Handling all scheduling, does that sound good to people?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
But just make sure that's approved, but yeah.
Okay, so I will make that one tweak so that it will read, creating and updating a building use policy and associated fee structure for approval by the board, handling all scheduling for use of the building, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other notes or proposed edits to this? And if not, I would entertain a motion to adopt the town hall committee charter as amended.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Mark. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Suzanne. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion carries. We've done the town office reno conversation, at least started it. That will definitely cycle back to the board. That brings us to new business. First up, we have liquor and tobacco licenses. We have 2 applications in front of us. One is for Bernie's Restaurant, one's for the Snowshoe. They are both first and third class liquor licenses. We can handle them together, we can handle them separately, whatever the flavor you want to do is.
We do them collectively, I think.
Sure, then.
We're not gonna deny them.
Yeah. Then I would entertain a motion to approve the first and third class liquor licenses for both Bernie's Restaurant and the Snowshoe.
I'll make that motion.
Great, we have a motion from Suzanne. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second from Leanne. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, and the motion carries. Fleet permits this evening. We have Endless Tracks, Pike Industries, Wind River Environmental, Structural Wood Corporation, Countryside Septic, and Beacon Sales Acquisition. Give Mark a second to check them out. Yeah, you want to sign that? While I'm thinking about it, I'll pop it back in here.
Did you have Vermont Outdoor Services down there too?
I did not. They were not. We can add Vermont Outdoor Services.
Yeah, because these gotta be signed, yeah.
No problem.
Just making sure I had dinner to go.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the fleet permits for Endless Tracks, LCC, Pike Industries, Wind River Environmental, Structural Wood Corporation, make sure I get them all, Beacon Sales Acquisition,
Yep.
and Vermont Outdoor Services.
Great.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a second from Suzanne. Any discussion? Hearing no other discussion, we'll vote. All those in favor of approving the slate of fleet permits as presented, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion carries, and you have approved the fleet permits. That brings us through our agenda, so if there's no other business, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
Are we doing, what was it, new business item?
Did I skip something?
I don't know, it was C and D or something. It was like liaison and there was some other approval of,
Oh, there was a vault loan status
Vault
approval,
loan
but we don't
status.
actually have, I don't think Aaron's got the loan
okay,
for
alright.
us, so, yeah. And the designation of liaison, we can
Superfluous.
just, yeah, we can just push that,
Yeah, that's
so.
right.
All right, well then, a motion to adjourn would be in order if we got one.
I'll make that motion.
Great, thanks,
I'll
Mark.
second.
Thank you, Suzanne, for the second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? There you have it. The motion is carries.